Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Needy boys brawling, no holds barred bout. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman?
Tune in the vibe. Party Reds, good centers. Got me on the mic now, let's spill the tea. Talking courtside dreams from history. Legends on the blacktop now and then. From Will to Steph, we hit it again. Better chimes in, let's go deep. Young bloods rising, can't skip a beat. Puppy prospects with fire in their eyes. Draft night suckers and hoop dream highs. Wire to wire, bring the heat. Podcast magic can't be beat. Do better, we're glow better. We're hoop heads, trendsetters.
What is poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Guard-E3. And welcome to the And One Podcast Watch Along, where we will watch along Bucks versus Miami Heat. But of course, let me introduce you to the greatest co-host of all time. He is Mo Betta. How you doing, Mo?
I'm doing great on an MLK Monday. Welcome everybody in the chat. Another great day to talk hoops. It's always a great day to talk hoops.
Absolutely. And normally this is the part where I go, it's time to talk about some underrated players. But I feel like it's only fitting today that it's time to talk about the reason that we have 4 basketball games today. Obviously, we're doing this today on Martin Luther King Day to honor, the greatest civil rights leader that, we've seen in a minute. There's just not enough good things to say about him. He helped and just paved ways for, African Americans that just weren't there before. Just an absolute visionary and revolutionary figure that, honestly, he deserves more than one day. It almost feels like that's how big he was. So I'm happy that we're able to celebrate him. And like I said, I hope everybody enjoys their hoops, but remember why they're playing today. Remember the figure behind why we're playing today.
I echo those sentiments. Dr. King galvanized the country, led the way on civil rights. He was just relentless in his pursuit of equality for all. And the fact that we remember him on this day, he should be celebrated. So happy MLK Day to everybody out there, not just in America, but in the world. That's how important a figure Dr. Martin Luther King was.
No, absolutely. I'd say, of course, we're kicking off today's action with some Bucks versus Heat. It'll be an interesting game to watch, Mo. The Bucks have been reeling a little bit. Actually, a lot of it. I can't even lie. They haven't looked good in their last 3 games. And, of course, the Giannis trade rumors will never quiet down, but now all of a sudden the Bucks are kicking the tires around Ja Morant until apparently today that they're not. So, just, I'm curious, Mo, what do you make of this whole, situation in Milwaukee where who do you think they need to make a trade? And if so, are there any names that you'd like to see Milwaukee target?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've been steadfast. I don't think Giannis is going anywhere. So yes, you do need to add some more talent around him. There are talented players that are available. They're not all necessarily superstars, but I think they're the kind of guys that you could put around Giannis, and they fit his skill set. So while I know John Morant is a sexy name, I think a name that is a better fit because they're a better all-around player would be a guy like Trey Murphy, or a guy to a lesser degree, his teammate Herb Jones, who's a really good 3-and-D guy, athletic, can guard multiple positions, shoot the three. I don't think you have to put. I don't think you need another superstar. It'd be great to have one, but if you can get guys that are, I guess the word would be all-star caliber, like, and athletic shot makers around Giannis, I think that's the kind of move that could bolster the Bucks going into the second half of the season. John Morant is a sexy name. If Giannis and Dame, they were kind of hit or miss, but if they couldn't work cohesively, there's no way Giannis and John Morant will work because John Morant doesn't have the shooting ability that Dame has. It just makes him a smaller slasher. I don't see how that would work at all. That to me, that's fool's gold. There's no way Milwaukee trades for John Morant.
Yeah, absolutely. It might be the first pick and roll, Mo, where just nobody guards it.
Right.
Like both defenders are just sagging into the paint every time. It'd be like, all right, Ja, you got it. You want to shoot it? Go ahead.
Right. They're giving you the day.
Yeah, you want to give it to Giannis to shoot a mini? Go right ahead. Like, they'd almost get the Ben Simmons treatment for both of them because they just sinking all the way down. So the fit just doesn't make sense. The price point doesn't make sense. The play styles don't make sense. So, yeah, I don't see it. I think there are names out there that fit, but I don't think are sexy that people aren't going to buy. Like, I've been saying that the Bucks should target a guy maybe like Sadiq Bey of the Pelicans. I think he'd be a great buy low option. Say someone like Ochai Agbaji has fallen out of the Raptors rotation. He might be a good buy low option. There just isn't really any names right now that are moving me, especially since, and well, this has got to be my favorite report of the last week, especially since the Pelicans have made their core untouchable. So at that point, I'm just like, I don't really see anybody that I'm really in love with right now for Milwaukee. Which, by the way, making your core untouchable when you're an 8-win team has got to be the funniest thing ever.
Yeah. When I saw that, I just laughed. That has to be like a bluff, right? Like they're playing spades or something. They have a lot of talent. They don't have anybody that's untouchable. The guy I value the most, obviously, are the two young guys. I value Queen and I value Fears. The reality is you should move off of Zion Williams. And because you're a small market team and you're going to be in the lottery again, I'm a Trey Murphy fan, but I don't know if you can give Trey Murphy the kind of money that he's going to command. That's asking a lot. Herb Jones, you're not going to be able to pay them. But good teams, Brett, have trouble keeping talent together when it's time to get paid. They're a bad team. There's no way they're going to be able to keep that core together just on the finances. And honestly, like you said, you're an 8-win team. How is anybody untouchable?
Also, Mo, on TikTok, have you seen the rivalry that's going on between fan bases? It's the greatest thing ever. I go on TikTok and I see somebody posted the greatest video of all time. It was a Kings fan after they jumped from 15th to 14th place in the West over the Pelicans, tagged every Pelicans fan they know and said chain snatched. So right now we got Pelicans and Kings fans beefing for who's not the worst team in the West. And honestly, I think that's beautiful. I need more beefs like that.
That's kind of crazy that the Pelicans. You know what? If you're the Pelicans fans, I say do whatever you can to make the season fun for you. You're an 8-win team. If you want to be petty with the Kings and engage with the Kings, I'm here for it.
I agree. I think it makes it fun. But hey, look at that. We got the game kicking off. No, Nicole Alexander Walker way off. Oof.
He's had a really good season. Like he's shown me things that I didn't know he had in his bag.
Oh, absolutely. I think Nicole Alexander Walker just realistically has an argument for being the best offseason signing. 4 years, $64 million. Like that was just fantastic work by the Hawks. Oh, Dyson tried to gamble for that. That was great though. Great on the margin. Nobody as bad as Portland.
Oh, I don't know, Damian. You might want to check the standings. Portland's actually really competitive. They're respectable. And I would argue, I know this is his coming out year, but the young man in Portland, what's his name, Brett Avia?
Oh, Denny, yeah.
He's as good as anybody on the Pelicans roster. He's better than anybody on the Kings roster. He's better than a lot of guys. He's that good.
Miles Turner with a corner three. Also, why does every time Dyson Daniels shoot a basketball, it looks like he's physically in pain? Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's bad.
Yeah, well, considering the way he shoots, it can be painful to view, too.
Like it takes way too long, and then it just comes up short every time. Like that last three he just took, it's like,
He's a really good player, but he's definitely got to get in the lab with a shot coach.
Absolutely. Like I said, his Jalen Johnson on the leak out. 7-6 game. Yeah, especially like I said, that 4-year, $100 million extension kicks in next year. So I don't know if you can survive that with him being. Say with him, playing offense this poorly. AJ Green with a turnover. He's going to pass it up to Dyson Daniels. Who's going to good hands by Rollins. Here comes Giannis in transition. That's going to be a turnover. Then he's an all-star player, but he's not a better player than Zion.
Of course he is. Of course he is. Stop it.
The problem with Zion is I feel like he shouldn't even be in these conversations, but lack of availability and growth, like that's kind of hampered him at this point. Like the potential Zion, like him at full power should not be in Denny Advia conversations, but with the way that he hasn't really grown that much ever since he came into the league, I'm not exactly sure what conversations he's in right now.
Yeah, look, Zion has been surviving so much off of potential. Like at some point, his career is his career. We forget, Brett. What is he in year 5 now? 5, 6?
Yeah, like, say 20. I think it's 2019.
Look, we have to get off the potential thing. He is what he is. He will always be the guy that's a what if. Avia, just look at Avia's numbers. I get it that Zion has played longer, but the funny part is he's hardly played. He's played longer, but he's hardly played. Avia is almost averaging a triple-double across the board, and he has the Blazers. They're a competitive basketball team versus the Pelicans, who have an untouchable core that's only won 8 games.
So you go. You got Jalen Johnson with the JJ's going to try to take it right at Miles Turner. A little crossover. Good. Oof. Oh, yeah, Giannis. Yeah, don't do that, Giannis. You got him on the shoulder. No, that's the frustrating part about Zion, right? Because I watched him play in that one play-in game versus the Lakers. And like that version of Zion was a top 10 player in basketball almost. Like he was so good. But that version of Zion is like few and far between is kind of the issue. Like if he could consistently like play and be out there and just dominate at a high level, then that's a completely different story. But he can't just do like the whole like gonna dominate for a while, hurt, come back, be kind of a non-factor for a little bit before I heat up, play well again, get hurt. It's like a constant cycle with him. Like, I'm not a Zion hater. I like Zion and I want to see the best version of Zion, but he just, like I said, he's just so hard to grade because at a certain point we just got to take him for who he is rather than what he can be.
That's my point. We're in year 5, 6. And what he can be is a guy that can average 25 to 30 points a game, but he's not a great rebounder. He can't shoot. And for all his size and athleticism, he's a horrible defender. And he's got talent around him left. You know how they go, he needs more help. He needs more help. Zion is right with talent around him, and he doesn't make anybody better. I'm not a Zion hater, but I'm a Zion honest person. He's overrated. He's probably one of the most overrated players in the NBA we've seen in recent years, and it's not even close. He's overrated. Zion Williamson will never play an entire season. And so my problem with him is, what do you mean what talent around him? Trey Murphy, Herb Jones. They went out like Zion Williamson is such a bad leader that he even made Jordan Poole garbage. Like Jordan Poole's not a star, but he was even more productive in Washington than he was playing with Zion Williamson. Like, they give Zion Williamson talent left and right, and he can't do nothing with it. Right. So Trey Murphy is as talented a player as there is. By the way, you just named those 3 players, but the best player on the team, I'm talking about throughout the season, it's been Derek Queen, the rookie. You didn't name Derek Queen. He's got Derek Queen, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Alvarado, and Fears, and they won 8 games. He is a horrible leader.
Like, say it feels like, well, I don't think that Zion's ever had like a championship level team around him. It feels like that this is the team that, good, nice board and finish by Dyson Daniels. But it feels like that at the end of the day, this is a team that definitely should have done more. Like, this is a team without him that pushed pushed can't remember who to 7 games, but
I know what you're talking about. My point is this: look at Portland's roster. It's not right with superstars left and right. Why are they better? Why are they that much better when you named all the names you named? Derek Queen, look, he didn't have Zion's athleticism, but he actually has more skill than Zion does. He's more skilled.
That's right. That's right. I just had to quick look it up. It was the Sun series that they pushed him.
Right. So he said if Zion's a problem, how come they didn't win games without it? Look, they're a young team that struggled. They have no culture. But I would reverse what you said and said, if he's the solution, how come they can't win with him? Like, they have him and they're an 8-win team. He is overrated. And you don't hear teams talking about trading for Zion because he's not in high demand.
I think kind of splitting the difference. Is Zion the entire problem in New Orleans? No, there has been I think the coaching was a big issue too, but is he the solution? Also, no. The challenge with a possible Zion trade is because he missed those weight clauses, his money is non-guaranteed. So the Pelicans are in a situation where they can just cut him for nothing. But
he said Zion for Kuzma. Who says no?
Oh, God. I feel like Zion and Giannis, you're running into similar problems with Zion and Ja. But I know Reverse is just messing with me. How's it going, sir? Thank you for tuning in.
It's funny. Look, Zion is always he's going to be a what if. I'm telling you right now today, what you've seen from him is all you'll ever see from him going forward. And it doesn't matter what team you put him on. If I've got a star and his greatest strength is that he stays hurt all the time, what do I need him for? And even when he's 100% healthy, he only plays on one side of the floor.
The funny part is his contract is like I said, it's interesting because right now, because of the missed weight clauses, it's not guaranteed. So I don't know if it's a situation where the Pelicans are holding out because they can just cut him for nothing. So I take bad salary back in return, which is exactly what Zion would get. So I think it's a weird situation where the contract is a issue because if you're the Pelicans, why trade Zion and take bad salary when I can just, if I really want to do, for example, in the offseason or right now, just cut Zion and move on. So yeah, Zion trade because of that contract is an interesting dilemma because the Pelicans have a wild amount of leverage right now.
Who defends AD? Because it's not me. There's nothing to defend. And the only difference between Anthony Davis and Zion Williamson is they're both often injured. The only difference is Anthony Davis actually accomplished something in his career. But I can't defend him. But we are talking about you can't defend Anthony. What's there to defend? He's an injury-prone star on the other side of his prime. Nothing to defend. Dallas would be insane not to trade him. I'm assuming they're trying to move him because he's certainly not part of their future. But the same way that I'm always hard on AD, I'll be even more hard on Zion because he's done less. I'm glad you brought up AD. I'll use him for the barometer. We kill AD constantly. But if I'm going to kill AD, I'm definitely going to kill the guy that's done less.
Say, I'd trade for Zion right now. Zion to the Cavs?
That's why Cottrell will be fired as a GM in a week.
Are we? So my question is, are you flipping because you'd have to trade a core piece to.
So if you're trading Zion to the Cavs because you're a Cavs fan, you have to know who you trading. Mobley? Because it's gonna be either Mobley or D Mitch. I know you're not trading D Mitch. So you're trading Mobley. Let me throw in another name because it's gonna be more. It's not gonna be player for player. Mobley and what's the guard name that's always hurt? Garland.
I think it would be some combination of Jared Allen and Darius Garland that would go out. I think they want to keep the other two.
See, if I'm the Pelicans, I can't make a deal with the Cavs because I don't need Jared Allen. I don't need that. Maybe if you do a 3-team trade, but they have no need for him. He wouldn't have won a championship, but just his career with the Pelicans is 10 times better than Zion's career with the Pelicans, if we're comparing.
You know what I think would make an intriguing idea for the Pistons who might be available, Mo? Hear me out, and this might sound crazy at first, but everybody talks about a Ja Morant trade. What about Jaren Jackson on the Pistons? You're talking about a guy who can defend multiple positions. You got Duran who can help him with rebounding. It almost feels like someone like Jaren Jackson at the 4. It'd almost be a much more seamless fit than what he's doing right now in Memphis, which having him as the main rebounder when Edie's out is just not ideal.
I agree. Oh, let me answer this real quick. Actually, that's not a factual statement. I mean, I thought we were off the AD thing, but his Pelicans team actually destroyed Dame's team. They swept Dame, I believe, when that Portland team was loaded and was favored. So that's actually not true.
Drew good ball.
Drew Holiday and Rondo clamped Dame and CJ, and AD destroyed everybody else in the paint. So no, that's not true. How about this? AD has at least won a playoff series. How many playoff series has Zion won? It should be a really quick answer.
Would Lauri Markkanen be a good fit for the Timberwolves? I'm trying to think. You know what? I think he would be.
I think he might be. I think Markkanen in a lot of ways could be the answer to Ant's prayers. But let me say this about the Jaren Jackson thing, because 3 and D he brought up something really good. I am not a big Jaren Jackson Jr. fan. I think he's overrated because I can't. He brought up what I've been talking about. I'm glad you brought it up. I've been talking about this about Jaren Jackson his whole career. My power forward got to give me more than 5 rebounds a game. Jaren Jackson Jr. rebounds like a 2 guard. And he's a really good weak side defender. As the primary defender, he's actually overrated. I wouldn't want him on my team because he spends most of his time on the perimeter like he's a guard. I don't think he would be a good running mate for Cade at all. I think he would hurt what the Pistons do more than help. Cade needs a shot maker, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a big. It could be another perimeter player. But I would not want Jaren Jackson Jr. I think he's insanely overrated.
I think I'm about to throw up because I think Kuzma just shot a behind the back 3. When behind the back, then let a 3 rip. Please stop doing that. No, when it comes to Jaren, so I do think that obviously his rebounding is bad, but almost a way to help mitigate that might be put him somewhere. For example, when you look at Detroit, they have an oversized point guard in Cade that can help with that. Jalen Duren has great energy on the boards. Just saying, it might be a fun idea for them to explore. I don't think it happens. I think the Grizzlies will keep him, but
yeah,
I do think that's an avenue that they could potentially explore for a possible upgrade at the 4.
Brett, let me ask you with the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference, because I am a Donovan Mitchell fan, but I want to just ask this base question. This is not about me being a fan. Can Donovan Mitchell be the best player on a title-winning team?
He can be the best offensive player on a title-winning team. If that answers anybody's question, I think he can be the best offensive player. Every time the playoffs come, he looks the part of the best offensive player. He's one of the best playoff risers in NBA history. He's done that multiple times, but can he be the best player? I think you need to pair potentially with a better 2-way player than him.
Yeah,
I don't think
I like the way you worded it. He can be the best offensive player.
John, playing with them. No, it said it. Like I said, I don't think it happens, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Pistons sniffed around Jaren Jackson to upgrade for a potential long-term upgrade next to Cade. If the Grizzlies are really having a fire sale. Which, honestly, I don't think they are. I've seen the reports that they want to build around Jaren Jackson Jr., which, to me, at that point, just blow it up, dog. But
right. To me, if you're moving Ja, you might as well start fresh. And they do have some young talent on that roster. But I don't think you can build around Jaren Jackson Jr. He wants Jared Allen traded. Contrell's harsh.
I genuinely thought a Jared Allen trade was coming this past offseason. That's something I said on the show multiple times. I thought a Jared Allen trade was coming. Garland is frustrating, but I do think you have to look for trades for him too because you can't rely on him. And I think you just kind of go forward building around Mobley and Mitchell. Damian.
He said, Mo, you wouldn't take Jaren. Oh, no, I would take him over him like tonight. Only because, one, I believe Jaren Jackson is 25, 26. And he does something that nobody in the Lakers care to do much. And he does play defense. He has his shortcomings, but he does play defense. And I would take him over LeBron because LeBron is not part of the Lakers' future.
I will say, for the first half of last year, Jaren Jackson was in a lot of all NBA conversations. He had a fall off in the second half of the year, but he showed flashes of being able to play, for example, like a top 30 player. So I think that's why a lot of teams would be very intrigued with the idea of Jaren because he can do it. He just got to start playing at a high level consistently.
Yeah. Yeah, that's facts. Cleveland's been balling. He has been balling, and he might just be better at this level. When you talk about how the speed of the game and stuff, I think Zach Edey was playing better this year than last year. I think he was adjusting, but Cleveland has been a better player. I think he's going to be the better player going forward.
Say fair. Hey, Kling Kong was somebody that after he got drafted, I loved the pick, and say all last year you could just see how good he was. So good on defense last year too. I think a lot of people overlooked him just because of how bad the Blazers were. But one thing was constant all year, that Kling Kong was definitely ready for this stage. Okay, good hit, Bobby. Oh, question for you, Mo. Of Lakers getting Sabonis and McDermott from the Kings. So I'm assuming you're moving LeBron to make the salaries work?
That's funny. No, look, I'm a big Sabonis fan because of what he is offensively. But if you know what's going on with the Lakers, their biggest flaw is they're one of the worst defensive teams. And Sabonis doesn't help in that way at all. Like, he's a terrific player, but he doesn't give you much defensively at all. And McDermott is basically a cone on defense. So I like both of them. I just don't know if they would help with if you're talking about what the Lakers' weaknesses are. I don't think Sabonis will help at all, not defensively.
Say it. Hey, you know what? Like I said, the Lakers figured out their defensive struggles. They held the Raptors to under 100. Not sure if that's the Lakers turning the corner. It says more about the Raptors' offense.
Yeah, probably the latter. But by the way, though, I wouldn't be shocked. Everybody's saying the Kings are going to move Levine and DeRozan, and what's old boy's name, Schroeder. The guy that has the most value, if you're the Kings and you need to desperately get trade assets, is Sabonis.
That's fair enough. And say eventually they'll get their guy in Kuminga when the Warriors actually trade them.
Yo, what they're doing with Kuminga is, look, as a fan, I just don't like it. If you don't think he's a good fit for your franchise or in your locker room, whatever the vibe is, then move him. Now they're talking about just holding on to him just for the sake of holding on to him. I don't understand that way of thinking, especially since you're not playing him. This guy's 23, 24 years old, and I'm not saying he's the perfect player, but his strength, his biggest strength, Brett, you'll agree with this, he's a natural bucket. The guy can score. I still think probably his perfect role would be coming off the bench as a sixth man, but he's a natural bucket, and they don't want anything to do with him. I don't understand that.
The strategy of, hey, you better trade for this guy or we're going to DNP him is just it's the funniest thing ever to me. The Kings are doing the same thing with Keon Ellis. Like, we want to first trade for him or we'll keep giving him DNPs. And I'm just like, and that helps his value. How?
Did Damian just say the Lakers can have Vooch and Patrick Williams?
Your defensive struggles are solved. You get Patrick Williams for free.
You know what, Damian? That's one of those thanks but no thanks moments. Like, well, you know what? I'm not a huge Patrick Williams fan, but I'll tell you what. If you take back what's old boy's name? Cardio. What's Cardio's name?
Jackson Hayes.
Yeah, if you take back Jackson Hayes, I'll take Patrick Williams. Like, I don't know. And look, Vooch is what, 35 or whatever. He can still shoot the lights out.
You can have Gabe Vincent and Bronny.
Oh, you're killing me now. Gabe Vincent.
Okay. The infamous quote, by the way, from JJ Redick did pop up again, Mo. Say the infamous "I would love to have 10 Gabe Vincent" quote. And that randomly popped up after he had another bad game, and I just died of laughter. Because I'm like, how good could he have been possibly playing for you to say you want 10 of them? Like, he wasn't good enough last year to want one of them.
Yeah, Redick is wild. I feel like every time he says this, he must be trolling Gabe Vincent secretly, because Gabe Vincent is struggling, man. He's been struggling all year long, still struggling. It's funny because he had that huge playoff run. Obviously, when the Heat went to the finals, we got him that next year in free agency, thinking we're gonna get this guy. You know what I mean? Like we found a guy, catch and shoot guy, big time shot maker. He's been anything but that since he's been in the purple and gold.
No, absolutely.
We tend to get everybody, Brett, a year or two after they were worth what they were worth. Like we got Marcus Smart now, but this is not Marcus Smart, the Marcus Smart that can lock people down defensively. It's not the same Marcus Smart. He is the same Marcus Smart offensively. He can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. He's the same guy on the offense, but defensively, he can't lock. I mean, we get everybody a couple of years too late.
And my favorite part is everybody will spend the offseason gassing it too, like, oh, the Lakers got Kendrick Nunn and Christian Wood. Like
I remember that.
I
was not excited about that.
I remember going on Twitter after they signed Christian Wood, and they're already talking about him being a sneaky all-star pick. I'm like, that must be one hell of a sneak because I can't see it. Like he's sneaking very slowly.
And I try to tell people Christian Wood is the kind of player that's very good when there's no pressure on. He's very good if he's on a really bad team. When he's on a really bad team, he's really good.
Oh, Mo, somebody called Khalil Ware the Gen Z Christian Wood, and I almost lost it.
Gen Z.
I'm like, first off, the Gen Z Christian Wood, it's just Christian Wood.
Right, correct.
But I'm like, you didn't have to do Khalil Ware like that. Come on now.
Hey, you know what? I know we joke about this a lot, but he still is under that blanket right now. Khalil Ware is still under that. He's got a lot of potential blanket.
Yeah, no, it's year two, and he showed flashes. I think the effort and the motor just got to be a lot more consistent. But when he's locked in, he's really good. There we go. Offensive foul on Kevin Porter Jr. There you go. The good old Glenn Rivers pose, standing there in disbelief with your arms on your hips. Oh gosh,
Kevin Porter's incredibly talented, man. I mean, I know he struggled with consistency, but he's been really good for you guys. He is one of the guys on that roster outside of Giannis that can create his own offense and create for others.
Come on, AJ. Yes, AJ. Got Mo Guy making plays. The dumb Harbaugh look.
That's funny.
I'd say, honestly, Glenn might have him beat to the punch there. Might have to call it the Glenn Rivers look. You good? Did Devontae Adams did or did not fumble that ball? Because I swear that he fumbled that ball. So, obviously, we're referring now to the after we saw what happened at the end of Bengals and Bills. We had it happen the next day with Devontae Adams in the Bears game. And I think there's a slight difference in what happened there. I think the reason they ruled it the way they did is Devontae Adams had completed the process of the catch, and then his knee hit the ground. Whereas in the Brandon Cook situation, the ball was still moving when they both hit the ground, and that's why they ruled it an interception. So it's so bang-bang with that Devontae Adams play, but honestly, I can see why they called him the catch. He looked like he completed the process of the catch before his knee hit the ground, which made him down by contact.
Damian, I'll be honest with you. It's weird. This is going to be weird coming from me, but in a league that everything is skewed to favor offensive players, those bang calls are so close. Honestly, it was kind of refreshing to see it go the defensive player's way. It doesn't happen very often, especially in the NFL. And I really thought, I thought the kid from Denver just made a great football play. It was just a great football play. And I get it. It was so close. And I'm sure you looked at it, 10, 20 times, Brett, the Brandon Cooks play. I looked at it at least that much.
Yeah.
and it was so close that there's an angle where when I see it and he hits the ground, Cook still has the ball and it's not bobbling. Dude just has really quick hands and he literally just rips it from him as he hits the ground. And that's weird to me because I could see the argument that no, that's a catch and he stripped it after he hit the ground. Like, I get it. It's a really weird, it's a very unique situation that doesn't happen very often in football. And it happened kind of like in a similar way, back-to-back games. But again, because so much leans towards the offense, if a defender makes a great play like that on the ball, right on the action, I'm good with the call. It's a tough call, but I'm kind of with Rex Ryan. If you're Brandon Cooks and you catch the ball first, which he clearly caught the ball first, and dude is reaching for the ball, it's on you to fight harder for the ball.
Say, oh, fair enough. Yeah. And then obviously, Damien, that's kind of what I think the difference was as to why they ruled the Devontae down and the night before an interception. And I say it. Yeah, no, I do hate the cries of the Bills fans though in that overtime period after the interception. Like, I'm sorry, the refs didn't lose you the game at that point. Your undisciplined playing did. You're crying about the first pass interference like, dog, Joey Bosa committed a roughing the passer on that same play. So guess what? Whether the chains move and the ball moves 15 yards or 17 yards, I promise you the same sequence happens after that. And Tre'Davious White very obviously committed pass interference on that second one. So overall, bang, bang play. Bills just kind of unraveled at that point.
Yeah. And look, I know we like to look at how the game ended, but there were some plays made early in that game that didn't help Buffalo either. So I don't think that one play is why it's a big play, but it's not. It's a bunch of plays is what cost you the game.
Here we go. Walker. Oh.
I think that I don't know if he cost him the game, but I think Josh didn't play well. Like he never mind the picks, he missed on a lot of wide open wide receivers. Like he did not have his best game throwing the football.
Yeah, I'd say at the end of the day, it really came down to Josh Allen. Josh Allen, I don't even know if he had to necessarily put on his Superman cape per se, but when your defense gives you 4 turnovers, at that point, you just have to protect the football and have a couple long possessions and just turn it over right back to them, including that one super costly one right before halftime. So
that was brutal. That was brutal. Yeah.
Say, Caleb's last pick is something I can't really blame him. So Caleb's last pick was interesting because I got to spotlight DJ Moore on that one. That was the worst effort I've ever seen on somebody running around. Like, he's jogging from the jump. Caleb threw the ball where he did because on that crosser, I think he thought DJ Moore was going to flatten out and run full speed. And if he does that, he probably beats a safety to the spot. But he just jogs. He gives half effort like DJ Moore has done all year. And the safety, I'll give him all the credit in the world, makes a heck of a play. So
yeah,
it was a mix of the safety maybe being a great play. Now, did Caleb have other options he should have went to? Yeah, it might not have been the greatest decision, but I think it just looks like an even worse decision than it really is because DJ Moore couldn't bother to put an effort on that play.
I think that's where I'm at on that play. No, Caleb, I don't know. I don't necessarily know he should have thrown that football, but DJ Moore was basically jogging like he was in practice mode. And what's the number one rule between quarterback and wide receiver? Always think the ball's coming to you, even when the ball's not coming to you. You run the route the way you're supposed to run the route. DJ Moore jogged the route. and that greatly impacted Caleb's decision. I think Caleb thought he anticipated, because it was a timing route, that DJ Moore would accelerate and go shallow, and he never did. It's a miscommunication, but I think you're right, Brett, because DJ Moore gave a horrible effort.
No, absolutely. Hey, Bucks are now up 33-21 too, though.
That's what's up.
Say, my guy Mohamed Guy making some great plays for Milwaukee. Shout out to Mo Guy. Say, Dyson Daniels lost the ball and say got stripped by Harris, and it got took coach to coach. Timeout. Say, timeout Hawks. Say, the Bucks. Here's the kind of where I'm at with the Bucks. I do think at the end of the day we can get anybody, but it's not going to change unless our coaching does. If we fire Glenn Rivers and get a different coach, is this team a title contender? Probably not. I'll convince myself that we are until we get knocked out in the first round. But do I think that they would at least be a bigger threat and more competitive? Sure. We just need more structure on offense, because this whole Glenn Rivers 2008 style of, hey, just go out there and figure it out yourselves, it just doesn't work anymore. In a league where all these coaches are constantly adjusting, running all these different actions, fighting for every little competitive advantage they have, you can't just be complacent and run the old go and figure it out. You need a schematical advantage to get by in this, in the NBA now. And with the Bucks, there's just no schematical advantage to be had.
Agreed. That's a good question. Well, you know what? No, because before the season, Brett, you and I both said we thought Jalen Johnson would not only make the All-Star team, we thought he had a shot to be All-NBA. Matter of fact, he will make it. I don't know if it's going to be second or third team. I don't think it'll be first team, but I think Jalen Johnson will be an All-Star and All-NBA. And he's probably first in terms of voting for most improved player.
Say, I think most improved right now has to be Denny. I think Denny Advia is the toughest one to knock out, but then I think you get into like JJ and Ryan Rollins right after him.
Agreed. I think Avia is the runaway. I think Jalen Johnson is right behind him.
Say nice little midi. All right, here we go. Come on, see what you got. Ready? Okay. We're gonna run one. Say, come on. Good hit by Kevin Porter Jr., but you kind of saw what I was just saying on that last possession. Like, there really wasn't a rhyme or rhythm. It's just they call like one action, and 90% of the time it's like a flare screen for AJ Green. And after that, it's just them playing, this old like, oh, dribble handoff, I'll set a screen for you. It's almost turned into street ball after that. And say Kevin Porter Jr., for example, knocked that shot down, but you'll see a lot of games where the Bucks struggle. Like, there's no real rhyme or reason, and those are difficult shots to hit. So here's another guy for most improved player.
100% I agree with that. I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker is right there. He's definitely a dark horse, but if you look at what he's done since coming to the Hawks, nothing but a bucket. Like, he's shown me things with the Hawks that I haven't seen when he was with the Timberwolves. This guy's averaging just under 20 points a game. Like, he is a bucket.
Okay, nice finish. Here we go. So here comes KPJ trying to get downhill. Swing to Bobby. Swings it to AJ Green. Swings it back to Bobby. And that three is in and out. Yeah, I have all the love in the world for No. He's just an absolutely terrific ball player, and he's just elevated his game so much.
Yeah, we talk about all the things that the Timberwolves need. one of the things they need is a guy that they let get away from them. They need to kill Alexander Walker back.
So they could use a guy like Nikhil Alexander Walker. Jalen's fouling him. There we go.
Let me ask you guys in the chat: are you buying or selling that Jaylen Brown of the Celtics is a legitimate MVP candidate? Because I kind of buy it, but it feels like ever since he started getting that kind of recognition, he's kind of started forcing the issue, and his shots and his shooting percentage is kind of falling off a little bit. And by the way, when I say he's an MVP contender, I don't think Jaylen Brown is going to win the MVP. I think he's just getting respect for being in the conversation.
Alexander Walker for 3 long. I think he's definitely in the conversation. I think he's pretty locked in at this point that he's going to get like a couple top 10 votes for sure. So I definitely think he's going to get some recognition in that regard.
I'm a huge JB fan, and he's had the kind of season that I thought he would have. I really did. And I said the Celtics were not going to be bad. They were going to be competitive. One, because Brad Stevens and Mazzulla, look, they're tied at the hip, but they're of the same mindset. And they put the proper guys around those guys. The Celtics are a functioning basketball team. They're going to make the playoffs. They might even win a first-round series. I don't think they're going to go on a deep run. But there was no doubt in my mind without Tatum that this team was going to fall. They weren't going to fall off and become like a lottery team.
But this is the way to jump up in these awards, right? We saw it with Draymond Green last year. Man complained to the media, said, "It might be my last chance to win DPOI," and all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's second in DPOI. DPOI odds, like what? Like he wasn't second before. Where did this jump come from? So I agree with this too.
I agree. I think it's very dangerous to bring him back too soon. Look, if you want the best for Jason Tatum and for the Celtics going forward, why risk bringing him back at 95%? Get him 100%, a full summer off, so he comes back the best version of Jason Tatum that he can be.
I think you use this season to assess the talent and flip whatever talent that doesn't fit next year when Tatum comes back.
Agreed.
I think one name that they're going to flip that's been heating up recently is I still think Simons is gone. He's been heating up, but I think it's perfect because then they can pump up his value and flip him for a bigger piece.
Simons is another example of a guy who is a natural scorer, but he does that's all he does well. And I'm not knocking that. That matters in this league, but he doesn't really defend at a high level. He's not much of a facilitator. He's a scorer. He's a shooter. And I think there's value for players like that on certain teams. I look at my Lakers and I go, what don't we have? Never mind the defense. We don't have a lot of shooting. We don't have a lot of shooting offensively. Luka's not a great shooter. Luka's a great scorer. Don't confuse the two. He's a volume scorer. LeBron's not a great shooter. Austin Reeves is a good mid-range shooter, but he's not a great three-point shooter. Like, we don't have anybody that if they're wide open, you're like, oh no, like the catch and shoot guy that's money. We don't have that on our roster. We thought, Brett, a couple of years back, Gabe Vincent was going to be that guy, but then we went and got Dalton Connect. It was like, he'll be that guy. And he looked kind of like that guy. And then we went behind his back and tried to trade him, and he hasn't been able to hit anything since.
No, absolutely. I think you guys just really need like a high volume 3-point shooter. Can I say something about Gary Trent Jr.? Mo, I think he had his Nick Anderson moment last year. You know how Nick Anderson missed his free throws in the playoffs and never looked the same after that?
Yeah.
Gary Trent's been doing the same thing where after that turnover against the Pacers in clutch time last year, he just hasn't looked the same this year. Genuinely, I think that turnover that he had just may have damaged his confidence a little too much because he just doesn't look like the same player.
Honestly, I think you might be onto something. It's funny that a moment can make or break a career sometimes because it gets in your head. And I think that's the problem. This isn't a physical thing, it's in his head. And you hope at some point he regains his confidence because I've always been a Gary Trent Jr. fan. I think he's a really good basketball player that when he's on, he's a great rotation player for a winning team. It's funny because I look at your Bucks and I look at the Detroit Pistons who are at the top of the East, and Detroit's not right with talent. They're not a stacked squad. They have a bunch of guys who get after you defensively and they all stay in their lanes. But as far as what they do offensively, everything is on Cade's shoulders. That's my point. That I don't know. I think you can do what Detroit's doing in the regular season. I don't think you can get away with what they do in the postseason, because in the postseason you're playing the better teams. They're gonna double, they're gonna run, they're gonna blitz Cade. Who else can take the ball and create for somebody else?
No, that was just diabolical of Peacock. They just decided to show the replay of McCollum missing a 3 long. Nothing but the back of the rim. That's the one they show. Oh, man. Yeah, I think that will be definitely a problem come playoff time. Hey, you know what? They can buy low on Cat.
That is low. You know what? I actually love Jalen Duren, and I love what he's added to his game. And I think that he can be your rim protector, your rebounder. I don't think he can be your number 2 offensively. You need another guy. Jalen Duren should be your number 3 offensively, and that's the problem. They don't have another perimeter player that they can rely on. They're still waiting on Jaden Ivey, and I don't know if he's all the way back from his injuries, but he hasn't really looked quite the same yet. If you're a Piston fans and you truly believe you guys are built to win right now, do you wait for Jaden Ivey, or do you move Jaden Ivey right now for somebody that can help you? You know what I mean? Like if you think you're built to win now, do you make that move and bring in a more established player because you think you're built to win right now?
No, I if you find the right package, I wouldn't hesitate that hard to move on from Ivy. I think Ivy's a great player, but I definitely think if you can use him to find a piece that not only fits with you now but long term in the right package, yeah, I would part with him. Say I'd see that Donovan Mitchell also wants to play for the wants to play for Team World when we do the World versus USA thing.
Yes. I'm just looking at the question. Yes, Cam Thomas on a contender in the right role. Like I think Cam Thomas is in that Malik Monk, Miles Simons. I think he's one of those kind of guys that is instant offense. So he could help a contender in that role, no doubt. But what a lot of people don't remember about Cam Thomas is he's only 6'3". He's point guard size, but he's a 2 guard. So I do think he has value. I'm trying to think of like the Spurs are so deep, and it's weird because they're young and deep. They don't need him. The Thunder don't need him. A team like the Lakers could use him. A team like if you're a Mavs fan and you guys still think you can make the postseason, they could use him. I would say that Cam Thomas could even help a team like the Suns, who have impressed me, Brad. I don't know about you, but the fact that Phoenix is a top 10 defense, I'm beyond impressed.
My question here's I think the biggest issue with Cam Thomas would be, what's the price point? I think Cam Thomas's scoring can help pretty much any contender. You're bringing him off the bench, like he has the kind of scoring that can flip games. But if you're getting Cam Thomas for $20 million a year, then all of a sudden that's a lot less attractive, right? But if you're getting him for like 10, that all of a sudden sounds great. So genuinely, I know when we're talking about players, a lot of times, we don't like to add the contract portion of it. But in the case of Cam Thomas, I truly believe that might be the most important part of the equation. Because if Cam Thomas is getting paid anywhere near 20, no. If Cam Thomas is getting paid below like 15, yeah, absolutely.
I'm with you. If you can get Cam Thomas and he's getting paid between 12 and 15 million, I think that is the right price point for Cam Thomas. It's got to be around the same price point for Malik Monk and other guys of that nature. We just talked about Alexander Walker, who's another one of those kind of guys like that. I think Cam Thomas is definitely instant offense for any contender, but it really does come down to how much are you willing to pay for his services. Hey, I knew Wags. Wags was a wild boy. All the talent in the world, but he couldn't stay focused.
Fair. Yeah. By the way, if anybody wants to watch one of my other big frustrations with how the offense operates in Milwaukee, if you noticed, Miles Turner hasn't really left the three-point line the entire time. I get frustrated because I think what the Bucks forget and our coaching staff forgets, and this last play is what brought this whole thing on, is Miles Turner is 7 foot tall. Miles Turner is athletic, and I don't think they remember that enough. I feel like that he's a guy that one of the big reasons he was so good for the Pacers last year is they used him as a 7 foot roller. Who can finish and can shoot threes, not just 7 foot AJ Green. So in the second half of this game, and not only that, just the second half of this season, I would love to see us get like Miles Turner going downhill a lot more and use his athleticism. And if he has a mismatch, give it to him. We just saw him punish the Hawks guards down low for an easy dunk. So, like I said, I would just love to see Turner get a little more dirty inside.
And look, I think sometimes it's style of play, because obviously when he played with the Pacers, they played much faster than the Bucks play, a much faster pace. And obviously he had the kind of point guard in Hallie that was gonna look for him, not just on pick and pop, but pick and roll options. So it's different, not because they don't have talented players to get him the ball. I think the style of play matters too. And look, Rick Carlisle is a great coach. I have nothing against Glenn Rivers. Rick Carlisle's a much better coach than Glenn Rivers.
There we go. Good hit from Kuzma. That's what I need. Smart threes. I'll take it. Turner's not a good rebounder.
He's not a big time rebounder. He never has been. That's agreed. Look, you know what? You can make a case that in a lot of ways, Miles Turner is very similar to Jaren Jackson.
So to be fair, though, the Bucks never really get good rebounders next to Giannis, which is kind of funny to think about. Like, Brook Lopez wasn't a good rebounder either, and then we replaced him with an even worse rebounder. To be fair, though, Brook Lopez, I think he was much better in our rebounding game than Miles Turner, because what Brook was so good at doing is he was just so good at boxing out. So, like, would he get the rebound? No, but would he box out your other team's 99th percentile rebounder? Absolutely. So he would help us a lot in keeping guys off the glass, even if he wasn't grabbing rebounds.
And don't sleep on Brook. Brook is a huge man. You know what I mean? Like, you almost forget that when he's on the floor, 9 times out of 10, he's the biggest man on the floor. Brook Lopez is huge. And you're right. He's not going to always get the rebound, but he's going to block out the other guy. Like, nobody's coming over Brook Lopez's back to get a rebound.
Oh, they just announced the East NBA All-Star starters. Got the guys who got voted in to start for the Eastern Conference.
Cade,
Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, and Giannis.
That is perfect. That's who I would have picked. No arguments here. No arguments.
I don't have an argument for that either.
I guess the point I was trying to make is I think your Bucks are closer to the Pistons than people realize. Like, the records won't show, but if they should meet in the first round, I actually think that's a long series.
Good luck with this one, Fred. I mentioned Cade Cunningham MVP, but people disagreed.
Not me. I think people are giving Jaylen Brown his flowers, and he deserves them. But Cade is the best player on the team with the best record in the East. And when you watch Cade and you watch the Pistons play, he is the epitome of MVP. Everything they do offensively runs through Cade Cunningham.
Say that. You know what? I'll like I said, I'll need it half the time watching this team. I'll always love my Bucks. I've watched the worst versions of them, but good job, Giannis. Way to draw a foul. Honestly, though, it might be more frustrating watching a team that's like is not good enough to contend, but is too bad to tank. That might be more frustrating than watching a straight up bad team.
Oh, now you want to welcome yourself to my world, right? So we're good enough for people to get excited, but we're not good enough to actually win a title, and we're not bad enough to get a high draft pick to where it can turn around and impact the franchise. I'm looking at my Lakers right now, and we're in NBA purgatory. We're going to feast off of really bad teams, and there's no shortage of those. We're going to get in the playoffs, and we're going to get knocked out in the first round.
I'm watching it on Peacock. Yeah, I need the Pelicans to hire Nico Harrison so I can get some good players.
It's funny you said that. I was going to go, man, the next place Nico goes, I need Pelinka to call him up ASAP.
Hey, remember me? And so at halftime, we got Bucks 54, Hawks 38.
Good game so far by the Bucks. Well, look, and I'll go back and say this. We talked about this a lot when it happened. I have no problem with Nico Harrison moving Luka. I'm not even saying it was the wrong move. The wrong move is the return he got. The trade itself, and I'm not saying that because I'm a Laker fan. I'm letting you know. Had he got back the value that he should have got back, I don't think people would have complained as much. But you trading him for AD and what's that kid's name? I never forget his name.
Christie.
Yeah, come on. That's like Nico, you're not wrong, but what you got back made it so much worse. You're supposed to get AD, Reeves, a pick. How did you mess that up?
The funniest thing is I think the follow-up report made him sound so much worse because the next report was Rob Pelinka talked him down. Huh? How did you let him talk you down? If anything, you should have talked him up. I'm not leaving here without 5 firsts and Austin Reeves and Anthony Davis.
Right, I'm getting Reeves and Davis and your next couple. You're supposed to come away with a haul for a superstar player who at the time was just 25 years old. It is, in terms of what you got back, you should get killed.
It's all right. Maybe they can go all draft day and get Luka back. I want my future back.
Well, I mean, look, Mavs fans, I think the combination of Luka and Flag, I think that would have worked really well. Honestly, that could have worked really well. But it is what it is. Look, it's funny because I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, and then I asked a question on TikTok because I'm open-minded about things. I said, "Is Luka Doncic unfairly scrutinized, Brett, or is he vastly overrated?" Because now in the Mavs media market, which obviously is nowhere near as big as the Lakers media market, but now the scrutiny is because, before it's like he got back in great shape. Look at Luka now. But what hasn't changed is even in great shape, he still ain't playing no defense. He still ain't guarding nobody. Like Luka's gonna drop 38 he can fall out of bed and get 35, but whoever he's guarding, they're good for 35 too, maybe more. I think he's a great talent, but I think the same way we critique James Harden when he was in his prime, you should critique Luka the same way. It's because it's very similar. James Harden at the peak of his powers is everything Luka is right now on both ends of the floor.
I got you. No, fair enough. Say it. You know what's I think what frustrates people about Luka too is I don't think Luka will ever be a good defender, but I've watched him in terms of playing defense in a team scheme, execute, and at least be like a slightly negative defender. Like,
right.
He wasn't horrible, for example, when the Mavs made those 2 deep playoff runs to the Western Conference Finals and then the Finals. Like, you can't be terrible if you're making playoff runs like that. I think that at the end of the day, I think that's why people get so frustrated about Luka is when he's locked in, he can actually be like a decent team defender. Like, he can be a slight negative instead of an absolutely terrible negative. But he just isn't always locked in like that. And I think that'll change once the playoffs start. But I think he can, at least bring his effort up to be that, just slight negative. But I think, that something's got to overall change with the Lakers. They got to really make some smart moves with LeBron and use that to kind of build the roster around him and Austin Reeves.
Well, look, it doesn't help when Rich Paul goes and tells people on his podcast they need to trade Austin Reeves so you can help LeBron and Luka. Like, no, you don't get rid of the 26-year-old guy that's establishing himself as an all-star for the 41-year-old guy who's not part of your future. I'm not trading Austin Reeves to set up LeBron for one more run. That doesn't make sense to me. I think if you're the Lakers, whatever happens this season is what happens this season. But you need to build. I'm with you, Brett. You build around Austin Reeves and Luka, and look, it's been proven. Luka, because of his skill set, you have to build around him a certain way. So you got to go out and get some athletic perimeter defenders that can be dogs, and you have to get a lob threat. You have to get guys like that augment his strengths and hide his weaknesses. I don't need Luka to be a lockdown defender. I 100% agree with you. I don't need that. I just need him to show effort on defense. Look, sometimes the greatest defenders get lit up. I just need Luka to play well in the concept of the team defense. You don't have to lock down. You just got to show effort. And that's something that he struggles with. And by the way, that's a great comment because I joke about this, but it's facts. Luka is whining to the refs before the opening tip most games. Like, he is the cryingest, whiningest superstar in the NBA by far. And if you want to complain about SGA, you can. He can't touch Luka in terms of whining.
Say the only way I would entertain an Austin Reeves trade is you better be getting back an even better cornerstone piece and somebody younger.
Yeah, if you give me, if I can pull off that, yes, Pelinka, please.
Right. Like if like the Pelicans called and said, "Hey, Trey Murphy's available, but we want Austin Reeves," I would at least consider it because of a long, rangy defender that has the ability to score. Like, that sounds like a great fit next to Luka. But if it's not a legitimate potential cornerstone piece, like I think Trey Murphy can develop into or something along those lines, I'm not entertaining a Austin Reeves trade, especially to build around LeBron. Like,
Right.
what?
I think Trey Murphy, even though I'm a fan, I'm realistic. Well, SGA is not just more consistent; he plays defense. He plays on both sides of the floor. Look, I think there's a separation between the greater offensive player and who's the better basketball player. SGA is a better basketball player than Luka. I believe I can go down the list. We can go just on who's a better basketball player, Luka, or I think Cade Cunningham is a better basketball player than not a better scorer, but a better basketball player. SGA is a better basketball player. I think Anthony Edwards is a better basketball player than Luka. I do. Luka's great. But if we feel the way we felt about prime James Harden, we got to be consistent. Prime Luka, which is what we're at right now, is the same as prime James Harden. He is going to be dominant offensively. You cannot guard him or stop him, but he's not the best basketball player. Look, as a Laker fan, am I happy to have a cornerstone piece in Luka? Absolutely. But I also know that because of how he is, our roster construction needs to be very, very specific to what Luka does.
No, absolutely, Kermit. Don't worry. I know you're a Thunder fan.
Clearly.
Say, but speaking of bad effort, Mo, did you see that Karl Anthony Towns play from the Kings game where he gets fouled, lays on the floor, gets up, watches the play, and then just never gets back on defense, and then doesn't get back on offense either? That was the most mind-blowing thing, because if Karl Anthony Towns at least tries to get back on, defense, when that ball gets tipped, it was coming right at him. Like, he gets it, and look at that. You have an easy, break on the other end, but because he just decided he got knocked down, then decided to cherry pick it, it just cost the team.
Look, I've always said that Towns has a really unique skill set for a big, and this I'll never diss him on his talent, but I'm talking about as a player in the locker room, as a teammate, he's a bonehead. He is a bonehead. Like there's something inside him that we brag a lot about guys like Draymond Green, or Giannis. We talk about high basketball IQ. Karl Anthony Towns is the opposite of high basketball IQ.
I still got a kick out of that when the trade first happened, and the Knicks fans were celebrating like, we got rid of Julius Randle. I'm like, yeah, you did. I'm not sure you're going to be thrilled with who you're replacing him with, but you got rid of Julius, all right?
You did that. You did. Well, it's funny, right? They got rid of Julius Randle, but in a weird way, they got back Julius Randle. Only this Julius Randle doesn't play as hard as the other Julius Randle. Like, they're very similar. The only difference is Towns is a better shooter. Randle is a better driver and a better post player. But in terms of what they bring, they're very similar. That's a good question for you, Brett. Why did you guys do that?
Because we're dumb. Because they don't listen to me. They should.
Agreed.
Agreed. Mo could tell you before we even hired Adrian Griffin, I said, let's go get Kenny Atkinson.
You did say that.
Nobody wants to listen to me, obviously. We got to get Adrian Griffin, watch him go 30-13, then fire him so we can bring in Glenn Rivers. Like, I don't have a good answer for you. It's because my team's stupid. You got bad decision makers in charge when it comes to coaching. But you also bad decision making. Atlanta attack the paint at some point. I get some of these threes are open, but when you miss 21 threes in a row, you should probably try to draw a foul,
something else,
shoot a midi, just anything. Jimmy, you're not wrong. I just don't. It feels like, unless if Adrian Griffin was hated that much in the locker room, at that point you should have just let him ride it out. But if you do got to get rid of him, whatever, just make the right call. And I think everybody with a brain cell knew that Glenn Rivers was never the right call from the jump.
Agreed.
Speaking of that, here's Austin Rivers on commentary. Yeah, say, Mo, how do you feel about, by the way, Rich Paul just deciding to start doing shoot interviews on the entire Lakers team? Because to me, that was the most absurd thing I've seen in a while. Never seen an agent do a sit down interview like that.
You know what? It sometimes the whole clutch sports things. If one organization was ever guilty of doing too much, is clutch sports. You're doing too much. Like, you're an agent. This is the part that kills me. So your whole thing is about generating relationships and things like that, but you're banging on players. Now you're banging on current players on the team that your biggest client works for. It's mind-boggling to me, and yet it's not surprising. Like, the other day I heard Rich Paul in an interview go, well, the only reason people bought he's talking about Jordans, the shoes.
Oh.
You heard the line, right? And he goes, well, they only bought them because the dope guys were buying them. So that's why they started buying. Like, why would you even try to go that route? And I'm like, dude, what does that say about your guys' shoes when the dope boys don't even buy them? You know what I'm saying? Like, it works both ways. Like, that is some crazy logic. Like, nobody wanted to be like Mike. They wanted to be like the dope boys. Okay.
Yeah, is he trying to court different players, like by insinuating they should trade for Jaren Jackson? Does he think that Jaren's going to also be like, you know what, I need Rich Paul to represent me now? Like, I just don't get it. And of course, if I'm LeBron, I'm telling him to shut up immediately, because everything that he says is going to get linked back to LeBron immediately. So,
well, yeah. Well, look, here's the thing, though. Rich Paul is the president of Clutch Sports, right? But the oxymoron on this is he doesn't own Clutch Sports. You know who owns Clutch Sports? LeBron owns Clutch Sports. Like, LeBron's your client, but at the same time, he's kind of your boss too, right? You know what I mean? Like, I get why LeBron would be like, yo, Rich, you need to chill a little bit, man, because every time you open your mouth, people think that I'm talking or I've said this or I've said that. I need Rich Paul to just focus on being an agent. Maybe not do the podcast. Maybe chill on the podcast. And the thing is, he picked the ideal podcast partner. If you want somebody to draw a hot take out of you, it's Max Kellerman. He'll pull a hot take out of you.
did you see that AR's agent actually pulled up on him at the game?
Yeah, he was like, "What, yo, Rich? What the hell are you talking about, man? What are you doing? Like, you're killing me." I love that he pulled up the Rich. Like, yo, what are you doing? Like, and I get it, right? You get on these podcasts, and a lot of these people, just for the clicks or whatever, they're going to say a hot take. Michelle Beadle, who's known for saying hot takes, the other day, just to say, she said, "Well, one of the Lakers' major problems is that Luke is one of the most overrated players ever." And I was like, I don't know that he's overrated. I think if you say he's a superstar, he is a superstar. And he is one of the 5 best players. I know the argument's going to be, well, how can he be that, Mo, if he's not a good defensive player? And I go, I feel like I have to break this down. He's so dominant and so unstoppable offensively. It does more times than not. It almost always offsets whatever he doesn't do defensively. The same way when James Harden was at his peak and he kept leading the Rockets to the conference finals in the regular season, unguardable. You couldn't guard James Harden, so he put up huge numbers. They'd win 50 plus games. They'd be one of the 2 or 3 top seeds in the West, and then they get into the playoffs. And I'm gonna use the words of the late great Kobe Bryant. That style of basketball, it's entertaining. It's gonna put up a bunch of numbers. You're not gonna win titles with that style of basketball. And he was right. And as a Laker fan, I apply that to Luka too. I don't think we can win a title if we're gonna play. The way that Luka went to the finals a couple of years back with Kyrie and company. That was a run. That wasn't the Mavs are getting ready to be the best team in the West. I don't think that's the formula of being a dominant team going forward. I think that Luka needs to change his style a little bit and be a little bit more adaptable to playing off the ball, because the Luka that I know and that you know, when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, Brett, do you ever see him cut to the basket? Do you ever see him move? No, he just goes and stands to the corner and waits for the next time he gets the ball. He functions identical to how James Harden functions without the ball.
It's why when some people were talking about trade of the Lakers, I was like, who's playing off the ball? You want two of them? Giannis with the block on Jalen Johnson. What a block. Ooh. The Kuzma 3. Yeah, of course, he had to ruin that. But, yeah, no, that's why when people were talking about Trae Young to the Lakers, possibly, like, why? Like, Luka can't play off the ball. Now you want Trae Young, who doesn't play off the ball?
Yeah, bring me another one.
Let's say Corey Kispert with a nice drive there. I enjoy baseball. Say we got a nice little DHO action. Gives it down to Miles. Passes it turnover. I think he thought he was fouled.
Giannis to the rack. Fouled. Look, I'm not gonna front. Baseball's not my jam, but I do love postseason baseball. I don't care for regular season baseball, but I love postseason baseball. And I'm honest. I'm a casual Dodgers fan. My family, they grew up watching the Dodgers, so I watch the Dodgers by default. But I don't front run. I didn't go out and I've never gone out and bought Dodgers gears and stuff because that's not my style. It's great for the home city for them to get the dub, but I'm not going to suddenly be like, look at Mo with all that Dodgers gear on. That's not my thing.
I am a Brewers fan, and I think I have one Brewers jersey. I do have one Brewers jersey. It's the greatest thing ever, too. When I was younger, and I've always had this infatuation of like really liking really random people on different teams. And a couple of times, just for fun, when I was younger, I tried to start a chance for the third base coach of the Milwaukee Brewers, Garth Org, who was a second baseman, I believe, for the Blue Jays in like 1978. And I'd always root for him just for fun. And my grandma actually got me a Garth Org jersey personalized and got it signed by him.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm like, so now I might be the only person with a Milwaukee Brewers Garth Org jersey ever, besides Garth Org himself. I think it's a terrific piece of my collection, and I love it.
That's awesome. Your grandma hooked you up. She did her thing. That's awesome.
Oh, my grandma always hooks me up. I love her to death. We say she's the one. The last Bucks game I went to was Bucks Knicks earlier this year, and me and Granny went to Pfizer Forum to catch it.
Awesome.
So you know my biggest problem with the idea of Luka's overrated though, like the whole Michelle Beadle quote. Overrated to who? Overrated to what?
I like that.
Whose metric are you using?
Right.
Because I see too many people throw out like, he's so overrated. And I'm like, but to who? Like, because some people rate him properly. Some people overrate him. So, like, whose metric are we using here? If I tell you Luka Doncic is a top 5 player in basketball, I don't think that's overrating him. That's properly rating him. If I tell you he's a top, I can name 10 players that are more impactful than him, that's underrating him. If I say he's the best player in the world, that's overrating him. So, like, exactly who is Michelle Beadle talking about? Like, relative to what? How is he overrated?
Yeah, and I'm with you. If I'll criticize Luka, I'll criticize him just on his effort on the other end of the floor. There's no doubt in my mind he's a superstar. But look, I don't care by what metric. There are no perfect players. The very best player has a flaw, or they can be flawed. Look, Luka, for a guy who's not blessed with a 40-inch vertical or jet quick speed or lateral quickness, is probably one of the hardest guards in NBA history in terms of trying to cover him one-on-one because of his skill, his footwork, his touch, his strength. He is one of the great offensive players of the last 20 years, in my opinion. And if you want to nitpick, but because I get that when we start talking sports, I guess you nitpick when you compare one great player to another great player. You can go that route. I don't think Luka's overrated. I asked the question on TikTok because that's what I do. I like to ask questions because I'm interested in what people think. I think Luka, if you're ranking him as a top 5 player, then you're ranking him properly. I think he's one of the top 5 players in basketball. And if somebody wants to go, well, wait a minute, Mo, he's not a two-way player, and Joker's not necessarily a two-way player, I understand that. But to Joker's credit, prior to his injury, Joker's never been a lockdown defender, but he has been a competent team defender. And if you watch the Nuggets play, you would know that. Luka might struggle defensively, but he's so dominant offensively. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, that offsets any deficiencies. And if you watch the Lakers play, by the way, so that we don't make this all about Luka's flaws, nobody in the Lakers starting 5 plays defense. Nobody. Ayton don't guard nobody. LeBron don't guard nobody. Reeves don't guard nobody. I think Rui tries to guard people, but he can't. Like, I'm saying that an entire starting 5 is a bunch of cones.
And I know we were going to talk some Bucks Hawks, but this thing got out to 33-21, and the Hawks haven't even threatened Milwaukee since. The lead's up to
good.
21 now.
Yeah, I'm watching this, and it's not. I mean, it's good if you're a Bucks fan.
Oh, this looks awesome for me as a Bucks fan, but
if you guys came here with us for the watch along, it's probably not the most entertaining watch along.
Hey, you know what? Chat's popping. We're having some great conversation. So shout out to all you guys. I'm definitely looking forward. I definitely been enjoyed this so far, though. But I think isn't that kind of the difference when it comes to these, for example, top 5 players relative to like the rest of the league when we talk about like Luka and Jokic? It feels like that we've seen them be able to at least be either slightly negative and at some points even maybe even a neutral defender in the terms of a team scheme. Well, when we're talking about some of these bottom, when I say like Keontae George doesn't play defense, for example, like he just isn't good in a team scheme or as an individual defender. So, by the way, I think that's the next step for Keontae George, just to be able to play, learn how to defend it, even just in a team scheme. But I think that's really your difference with these like top end talents like Luka and Jokic to some of these bottom end talents. We've seen them when they are locked in, they can defend. It's just they're not going to go full Kawhi, but they're going to make sure they're in the right spots. They're going to get their hands in the passing lanes. They're going to defend in the terms of a team scheme. So I think that's your big difference between your top 5 offensive talents in terms of grading them as players and, some of the guys below them.
I couldn't agree more. Look, when it comes to defense, really it is about activity. It's about activity and just being aware, especially in the team concept. You don't have to be a lockdown defender to be an effective defender. It's funny because if you look at a team, for example, like the Spurs, they're a good defensive team, but they're primarily a good defensive team because of Wemby. You know what I mean? When Wemby's not on the floor, they're not as good. And it's not because Castle's not a good defender, but I'm talking about some of the other perimeter defenders. They're not great defenders. Wemby erases a lot of mistakes. He really does, because we've never seen nobody that big cover that much ground. So I get it. It's an interesting thing. Look at Anthony Edwards. Look at Ant, for instance. A freakish athlete in every sense of the word, explosive scorer. And he's showing you that Ant can be a great defender when he's locked in. He has that kind of ability. Does he do it on a night in and night out basis? No, he doesn't. But he can do that. Look at SGA. I think SGA is probably the most consistent of the top 5 players. SGA he's a really good defender, especially in the team concept.
Okay, well he missed, but I didn't like that from Miles. start dead sprinting at Dyson Daniels, force the pass to an open Nickeil Alexander-Walker three. Like, Miles, just let him shoot that. But Walker missed anyway. There we go. Jalen Johnson with the three. Hawks just cannot get the lid off the basket from deep, and that's just been the difference in this game.
What is the next step, Brett, for the Hawks? Like, I understand moving somebody like Trae Young, who's been the face of your franchise for many years, but now that he's gone and you're clearly invested in Jalen Johnson, but I guess what I'm asking is, do they look to add another guy to Jalen Johnson, or do they just try to continue to develop some of the younger players on the roster? Like, a good example is their big man, Okongwu. To his credit, he hasn't shot the ball well this game, but Okongwu's added a three-point shot to his arsenal.
It feels like with the Hawks, and I'll get to your question in a second, T3 and D. I think ironically, it almost feels like one of the first steps has to be getting somebody now to help Jalen Johnson. Ever since trading Trae Young, people are talking about how they're winning games without him. Well, now they're just getting blown out without him. And I think one of the biggest problems is there is no secondary creator now. There is no secondary initiator. I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker has been great this year, but he's great attacking closeouts off the catch. He's not really going to create for others. So it feels like that the next step is, okay, we moved on from Trae Young, but now we have a glaring need to get Jalen Johnson some help.
This is true.
And I don't really think that guy is currently on the roster. So I think that's why, I think the guy's coming up in the draft. I think you're going to be in a great position to draft a guy like Peterson, Dimebasta. I feel like their next step is nailing this offseason, because I think if they get their playmaker that they need in the draft and the young guys keep developing at the rate that they do, Hawks are going to be right back in the thick of it next year.
So let me ask this question then, because obviously Jalen Johnson plays the 3 and the 4. But if you go out and get another perimeter player to be more of a playmaker, because they do need another creator, does that mean that Dyson Daniel comes off the bench, or does he stay in the starting lineup? Look, because he does a lot of things well. Like, Dyson Daniels will never short you on effort. He's a terrific defender. He's an all-NBA defender. He's a good rebounder. He's a good facilitator, but he's not the kind of facilitator that breaks defenses down. Does he stay in the starting lineup if you can get that secondary playmaker?
I think you would. I think the guy you end up replacing is CJ McCollum out of the starting lineup. I'd say once you replace CJ, for example, with maybe like a Darren Peterson, and then it's just Peterson, for example, or whoever you draft, Daniels, Johnson, Okongwu, Alexander Walker as your 5, and you are as your starting 5. Obviously, Okongwu would be at the 5, but I think you're off to the races at that point.
Brett, that was the more interesting thing about the trade for Trae Young. Like, I understand the Hawks wanting to move off of him, but they had to know when we move off of Trae Young, we desperately need another playmaker or creator for Jalen Johnson. So you would have thought, let's go after somebody that can be part of the future with Jalen Johnson. I'm not knocking CJ, who a guy I've been a fan of for years, but let's be real, CJ's 33, 34. He's not part of their future, right? And so I don't understand the move as a whole, because they didn't get back any assets that's going to help them going forward.
I think the Hawks just looked at it as cap relief. That's the funny part. I find it funny when teams like Atlanta do this. They'll make moves like, salary cap from the offseason. I'm like, great. Name me who's dying to sign in Atlanta right now. Yeah. Who's going to be available?
Yeah.
The only guys you're getting in Atlanta are guys you overpay or role players, which you have to nail, which we gave him credit for Alexander Walker. But the problem with creating cap space for Atlanta for a max contract slot is I'm not exactly sure who's dying to go, let's come to Atlanta to play ball.
it'll be somebody that you're vastly overpaying for, like you said. Like, you're not going to get, if there's a top free agent coming out in free agency, they're not going to Atlanta. They're not. You're gonna get secondary, even third guys. Like, I'm sure you could overpay a guy like Zach LaVine, but is Zach LaVine going to make you guys better? Because I would argue Zach LaVine is the most maddening player in the NBA for me, because he has top 10 talent, but he's content with just doing enough. And it drives me crazy because his skill set, his talent says we should be talking about Zach LaVine the way we talk about Booker and Ant and any other top 2 guard, and we don't, because I just feel like, Brett, he just does enough to stay in the league, and it there's no sense of urgency with Zach LaVine. But if you look at his skill set, can break you down off the dribble, can shoot the three, not just shoot it, but shoot it he shoots 40% from 3. He shoots 47, 48% from 2. He's like 88% from the free throw line. And he can elevate and finish at the rim. Like, everything says this guy should be an all-star, a perennial all-star, all-NBA player, and yet he is what he is.
So do they have the worst total roster in the East? Let me rephrase this a little bit to make it a correct yes. Do they have the worst roster in the East? I wouldn't say so. I think teams that do have a worse roster than them obviously are usual suspects. I'm not very high on, teams like the Wizards or Nets. They have some great young pieces, but I also think the back end of their talent pool is just rough. Do they have the worst roster among teams that fancy themselves as, contenders or a playoff team among playoff teams?
Probably.
Yeah, they do. This roster just does need a shakeup. Players are just kind of like you want to run, you want to play fast with this version of the team, but then Bobby still plays a big part of it. You can't really run with Bobby Portis. You want to get shooters around Giannis, but then we just got too many guys that go ice cold and are inconsistent. Like, I think if we slightly revamp this question to worst team that fancies themselves as a playoff team, then yeah, this is probably the worst roster that fancies himself as a playoff team. Yeah, I do think the Bulls still have a worse roster.
I do not disagree with that statement, Damian. I do not. And the Bulls roster baffles me. We talk a lot about roster construction. I like that they kept Giddey. I think Josh Giddey is one of those pieces that can be a big part of your future, not as your best player. I think he can be one of your 3 best players, but outside of Giddey, what are you doing? Kobe White goes into the same category as Malik Monk or Cam Thomas, an instant offense guy, but not a cornerstone guy. Like, a guy like Kobe White, you want coming off your bench for instant offense. They got Vooch, and Vooch is still playing at a high level, but Vooch is 35, 36, not part of your future. I don't understand. By the way, Brett, I didn't understand the drafting of Patrick Williams to begin with. Like when they drafted him, I felt like the Bulls were like, we know something that the rest of you don't know. And I was like, no, you don't. And they still don't.
Say, as soon as I saw them talking about Patrick Williams, and they started mentioning, like, well, they think he can be like their Kawhi Leonard, I'm like, yeah, pack this up right now. The problem with people drafting guys to be like Kawhi Leonard is they kind of they don't realize how much of a one-of-one situation that Kawhi Leonard was. Like, you don't have guys that develop like Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard develops like Kawhi Leonard, but
right.
You don't get guys that just develop like Kawhi Leonard. So I just think people got to stop looking at these like one-of-one archetypes and praying that their developmental project can develop like him.
For what it's worth, Bulls fans, Patrick Williams is better than Anthony Bennett.
At least the Hawks aren't losing by 40 progress.
Progress. Kyle's rough.
Hey, you know what? At least you didn't draft Cody Williams.
Ouch. Ouch. Yeah, look. It's gonna be okay for Atlanta. Like you said, I think with Jalen Johnson, I think Okongwu's a good piece, a good solid starter. I do like Dyson Daniels, a lot of things that he does, but they obviously have a glaring weakness and a need for another shot creator. Definitely to take pressure off of Jalen. Everything can't be Jalen Johnson centric. I think more and more teams are just running at him and taking the ball out of his hands.
13-point game. Here's the part of the game where the Bucks refuse to put anybody away, and this will end up being a one-possession game at some point in the fourth quarter.
You think so?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because we do things like that. Like, what makes you think that a behind the back, off balance, 15-foot contested jumper is the shot right there? This is kind of what annoys me about the Bucks. Like, once again, there's just no rhyme or reason to what we're doing on offense and just kind of making stuff up. And at halftime, clearly the Hawks have adjusted. JJ's getting downhill more. We got Dyson Daniels cutting into gaps. And the Bucks are just still kind of freestyling it. Like, he can make this 21-point lead at just a minute ago, it feels like, to an 11-point game right now. Like, the Bucks just have to learn how to put these games away and stop making every game close.
Agreed.
The Bulls draft big players just like the Jets draft QBs. Like, it feels like there's that certain player that ruined drafting for some teams. Like, too many players draft these like wing players and go like, he's going to be like Kawhi Leonard. Just like in the NFL, like teams will draft these big arm quarterbacks and be like, have interception issues and be like, well, so did Josh Allen. And then they're shocked that when it turns out that that quarterback just isn't Josh Allen.
Right.
And it's just a big arm quarterback with interception issues. Like, at some point, you got to, at least try to look at the skill sets and be reasonable about who some of these players are. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, CJ McCollum.
Bobby's shooting. Bobby's shooting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Bobby was not giving that back. You knew he wasn't.
Okay. You know what? He scored. Sure. Why not?
Well, I mean, that 8 to 10 foot hook shot of his is not bad. That's not a bad go-to.
It's not a bad shot, but when I get a fast break and it's just him settling into the post, I'm like, you can at least try to get a layup or a dunk. But you know what? He made it. I can't complain too much. He is good from that little area, so I'll take it. Please, AJ Green. Please. Nope.
Look at Alexander Walker. My God, he's nice. That was nice.
Good finish. Good finish by Walker.
Yeah, he is nice.
Let's see.
That was careless.
Where were you going with that, Porter?
Yeah.
What was the end game?
Completely out of control. I didn't understand that. Doc's about to get
Glenn.
that weird look in his face.
Glenn, give me a timeout. I don't care. We got a minute left in the third.
Bobby's shooting this. He's shooting it again. He's feeling it. Here come that hook. There, yeah. When he can crab walk you to his spot, Portis is really effective.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. His offensive talent has never been in doubt for me. I'm just trying to. I'm just getting nervous because I've seen how this plays out multiple times, and I don't like how this ends for us normally. Good shot by JJ. Just didn't go. I just don't know what's going through in Glenn's mind on the sideline, watching the other team start to come back in most of these situations. It's like the AOL dial-up noise is going on, and just nothing else.
Yeah, I at $64 million, what Alexander Walker has done for Atlanta, I would say that is a deal. That is a big time deal. That's a bargain.
No, absolutely. say, kind of look at other guys in his price range, like making the same amount, and it's guys like Rui Hachimura, and then you start to realize just how big of a bargain that Alexander Walker is. I didn't mean to bring up.
Don't get me started on Rui.
I didn't mean to bring that up. She's the first guy I thought of that was also making 18.
Yeah. Rui, the funny thing about Rui is he's very popular among Lakers fans. And I don't dislike him, but I'm not sure why he's so popular, because I know everything shouldn't be about the money, but for what you make, I'm gonna need more than that.
Can we not do something stupid every 5 seconds? Why are we aggressively closing out there, rushing the shot?
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I don't even know if Doc has a playbook. It just seems like it just something like he just wrote a message on a napkin that says "Have fun, guys." That he wrote at team breakfast.
Have fun.
Like,
oh god.
Darvin Ham's like just next to him going salute. Like, that's the entire offensive playbook 90% of the time.
I think Darvin Ham's just happy to be back in the league.
Yeah.
He's not gonna rock the boat. He's not gonna say anything. He's just glad to be having a job, good seat in the house.
One of those, like, if I say quiet, maybe they'll forget I'm here.
Right. That's exactly right. And look, to my partner's credit, he said the Bucks have a habit of not putting teams out and letting them back in the game, and we've got a game, y'all.
8-point game, because Milwaukee just hates me apparently, and every game needs to give me a heart attack before we eventually either win or lose in the most dramatic fashion possible. Yeah, no, it just that's my frustration. That's what I was trying to say earlier. It's in a league where every team keeps adjusting constantly with little schematic advantages. The Bucks have none of that. So now when the Hawks have made adjustments, like I said, I like their adjustments. I like watching all of a sudden Dyson Daniels is cutting into the open lanes of the Bucks defense. JJ's more aggressive getting downhill. The Bucks are just lost right now. And the worst thing I can hear right now is if they come back out of this and I can listen to what Glenn Rivers is saying in the huddle, because that is just going to annoy me even more.
Well, you know what he's going to say. Come on, guys. We got to play harder. Come on. That's kind of what he does. That's kind of his thing, right? He just kind of like cheers you on and yells and screams, but there's no actual strategy. Let me ask you a question, Brett. If you could, if they decided to move off of Doc Rivers, is there a coach that you have in mind that you would like to see take over?
Anybody.
You're killing. You wouldn't say now. Don't say anybody, because you don't want Billy Donovan. You don't want Billy Donovan. Don't say anybody.
It's about the same as watching Glenn Rivers coach. Sure, why not? Off the top of my head, it just drives me crazy. Who's available right now? I don't know if there is an amazing coach that's available right now. It just feels like we missed our boat a couple of years ago when there were amazing coaches available.
I feel like we in the NBA more times than not, we regurgitate older coaches. We very rarely let younger coaches get a stab at it. But I think that if I were the Bucks, I'd be looking for a younger voice, not just because they're young, but I'm talking about a young voice that's innovative. Maybe they've had success at the college level, and they might be able to relate to the players better. Because if Doc Rivers were to be fired, you know what's going to happen. They're going to hire a coach that's already in the league. Somebody else is going to get fired. It'll become the Bucks coach, or it'll be what's old boy's name that was the coach of the Nuggets. He's Mike Malone.
Malone.
Malone will become the new Milwaukee Bucks coach.
Yeah, I think we'd end up looking at names like Mike Malone, Yeager,
right,
Jenkins, Frank Vogel. We'd probably sniff around a lot of familiar names if we fired them, but Tom Thibodeau.
No,
But
you don't want Tibbs. You don't want Tibbs.
say I just want somebody that will like somewhat give us a chance in games like this. Like I want somebody who will actually make adjustments when we need them. So like
Now I know you don't want Tibbs.
if I got the news if we fired Doc tomorrow and signed someone, for example, like Mike Malone, I'd be open to it. Like it really can't go much worse than it is right now.
I think that's fair. And I think the Bucks GM is probably reluctant to pull the plug on Doc only because the GM is probably, if he's honest, he's going, if I'm looking at the roster construction, I can't kill Doc because it's not like, when you look at the teams that can be in the playoffs, we're probably one of the weaker rosters, right? If you know what I mean? Like, it's not a loaded roster.
No,
you've got a transcendent player who's still in his prime in Giannis, but you don't have a clear heir apparent in terms of who is the number 2 guy on the Bucks night in and night out. Like talent wise, it would be Kevin Porter Jr., but Kevin Porter Jr. is so erratic sometimes.
I'm just mind blown from what I just saw. Yeah, right here.
Look at this. Look at Doc.
Let's go triple team Oneka Okanu.
Right. Why? Why are you doing that?
And Doc just turns into like Darvin Ham and goes, "What are we doing?" I don't know. Isn't that what they're supposed to be asking you?
Right.
Like, good hit, Bobby Portis, but
it's games like this that Darvin Hams hate because this is where they do notice him.
It's like that one post, "I've become important at work and it's ruining my life." That's just Darvin Ham's memo the entire day.
Good play.
Oh,
Nice.
Good hustle.
Yeah,
I need more of that.
That was nice.
That was some good hustle. I can't get over that. Just Doc looking over to Darvin Ham, like, "What are we doing?" Like, I don't know, head coach. What are we doing? Come on, secure the rebound. There we go. I'll give it to him. Beat him. Yes.
He is so incredibly talented, man, that he can kind of drive you. He can drive you crazy up and down. Like, he's the kind of player that if you're a coach, they talk about how he adds gray hairs. He's one of those players. He's an incredibly talented player, but he can just be so up and down.
No, fair. Say, by the way, there we go. That was a good answer. I'd say good job by Bobby and Kevin to finally weather the storm.
I like that. They responded. Yeah, they pushed back.
Say, by the way, we got a fun Detroit is bringing in Drew Petzing as their new offensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator of the Arizona Cardinals. So, okay, so they're bringing in the former Cardinals OC to be their OC next year. All right.
Quick question, and this I'm not being prisoner of the moment. I've been like this from day one on this guy. Do you think this? Because you know that it's coming up where the Texans have to make an investment in CJ Stroud. Now they're gonna pick up the 5th year. That's a given. But the question is, are they going to extend him? Because Troy Aikman, he said a great line, and I think is 100% facts. He said that CJ Stroud is chasing his rookie self. I agree. I agree with that. And I'm the kind of guy that I can't be sold on the fact that you have arm talent. I need to be sold on the fact that you have those intangibles that you can make plays or make timely throws when it's most needed. And I'm not really completely sold on Stroud. I don't know. In a way, to me, Brett, I think he had the easiest job coming into the postseason. Like, He had one job. If the offense was boring, dull, didn't score, you went 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, they would still win the football game. Like, you got one job. Don't turn the football over. If you don't turn the football over and the Patriots shut you down and y'all just keep going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, I still say they would have won the football game.
People make fun of game managers all the time, but if the Houston Texans had a game manager at quarterback, they're playing, in the AFC Championship game right now.
I agree.
Like, it's funny, people talk about game managers like it's a bad thing, but in all reality, if the Texans had somebody who could literally just not turn the ball over and manage the flow of the game, yeah, guess what? I do believe that they win both of those games.
Same.
I think the Patriots played well. I think Drake May was terrific, but I also think that a lot of their momentum came off turnovers. And I don't think it's a guarantee they beat the Patriots if you switch out Stroud with a game manager. But at the same time, like, I feel like obviously the odds just skyrocket. If you're going to extend CJ Stroud, though, Mo, I'm telling you right now, do it this year. Do it this year. Look, his stock is at an all-time low. You're never going to get a better price than this year.
Agreed.
Which I also think his agent knows, which is probably why he's not going to do it this year. But if you're the Texans, push for it this year and get something done if he's your franchise quarterback. But, be smart. Be like, look, stock's at an all-time low. Let's see if we can get him to buy low. And if he bounces back and beats like his rookie year self the next couple of years, then boom, you struck while the iron's hot. If he doesn't, well, that's why you set up the back end of the contract to not be guaranteed.
Agreed. And look, like I said, I'm not arguing about his talent. I'm simply saying that in the situation that he was in, they didn't need him to be John Elway. They didn't need him to be Josh Allen. They just needed him to take care of the football. If he just took care of the football, the Texans are playing in the AFC title game. And I'm a huge Drake May fan, but part of the reason why the Patriots scored what they scored is because, my God, the turnovers, man. Jesus Christ, that's crazy. Like that defense. I know people will go, well, the defense. Yes, the defense got scored on, but damn, man, they were in the field all the time, courtesy of the offense. I don't care how good a defense you are. If you're on the field all the time because your offense is giving the ball to the other team, yeah, you're gonna crack. It happens. But there's no doubt in my mind that is a championship defense.
Say absolutely. Nick said so what is that? That's such bad defense. That is not a championship level defense, but
right.
Even if we want to say that Stroud wasn't the main problem, he definitely wasn't the solution. And the answer at the end of the day is the offense of the Texans was the problem. You can blame the O-line, you can blame play calling, you can go a lot of different directions, and obviously things like O-line and play calling did have a part to play. But it's just impossible to watch that game and come with a takeaway that I think at the end of the day, you got to probably put most of that on CJ Stroud because he's on his interceptions that the receivers drop. He's throwing the ball high in wet and windy conditions. Those are hard balls to high point in dry conditions. So he's not putting his receivers in an optimal spot to make a play. And then there are the other two interceptions. One was behind and the other is just an arm punt 5 yards to the defensive back. Like, it was the most mind-boggling choice. So
that was brutal.
Even if he wasn't the full problem, he certainly wasn't the solution.
He was not. But at the same time, because we both agree, the NFL is still a quarterback-driven league. You have to be decisive in your decisions with CJ Stroud. If he's your guy, because it is a quarterback-driven league, and I know he had a horrible game, but again, nobody denies what he could be talent-wise. I don't know if you want to give up on him real quick because quarterbacks don't come around that often. And I agree. Yes, you could get a game manager. You could, but giving up on Stroud, I don't know if I would be quick to do that. That's all I'm saying. Like I'm not a huge Stroud fan, but I'm with you. I think I would try my best to extend him right now.
Let's see. Vid Krajek, man, he's shooting all of these short.
Yeah.
At some point, you just got to pull him. I think he's got to get him out of this game. He just doesn't have it today. Just an off day. I think he's been good for them for most of the year, but he just doesn't have it right now.
And there he goes. Yeah.
Those Peachtree jerseys are really cool.
Agreed. I like them.
Any streams for the national championship tonight? I think it's our normal. Let me put it this way: it's our normal presentation of shows with On the Ball at 5 Central. Meaty Boys are on 7:15 Central, and then the Sports Report at 9 Central. But if, like I said, if anybody wanted to do a national championship watch along, I wouldn't blame them. I would say I would move Meaty Boys if that's something that people wanted to do. For example,
I mean, yeah, it's a national championship game, man, and look, Indiana has been amazing, but they're getting ready to go up against that Miami front four. That's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
No, absolutely. Well, if anything, what we'll probably end up doing is we'll probably end up giving you some updates. For example, when we're doing Meaty Boys for any score updates. So, by the way, the Bucks make me want to watch Raw. The Bucks make me want to drink, so I get it.
That's crazy.
Watch NFL playoffs this weekend or national title game tonight. So what's tough about that is I think the national title game will be the highest viewed football game, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's hard to beat the NFL playoffs because they had 4 games compared to 1 national championship game, but
right.
I do think that the national title game will be the highest viewed football game out of all 4 games that happened this week.
I don't disagree. Definitely, because obviously it goes without saying that Miami has a huge following. And it's been a minute since the U was this relevant. And then you've got Indiana, who has never been a football powerhouse. And in less than 2 years, they're not just playing for the national championship. They're playing for the national championship in a perfect season. That's crazy.
By the way, the West NBA All-Star starters, we got Luka, Shea, Steph, Jokic, Wemby.
I don't have a problem with that either. I'm sure somebody's going to go. Somebody should be. I'm guessing somebody's going to say Steph shouldn't be starting, but why not? Still playing at a high level, still an all NBA player. I'm sure some people are going to go, so Steph starts, but KD didn't start. Well, KD didn't start because he's not having as good a year. I don't know. I look, KD not starting isn't the end of the world. He's gonna be on the team. We all know it, right? It's okay.
I will say I don't think Steph should be starting, but I have a name for you, Mo, that I think should replace him.
Okay.
I think Anthony Edwards got snubbed. I think he should have been the starter over Steph Curry.
I won't disagree with that. And I thought the only name that you can bring up and tell me why Steph should be sitting would be Ant. You brought it up. I agree.
Yes.
But what can I tell you? The way the voting's done now, players, media, fans, I would say probably among the fans and the media, Steph is still vastly more popular than Ant. And he might even be more popular even with the players. And look, I'm not mad that Steph made it. I just think you're right. Steph should have made the team, but Ant should be starting.
Absolutely. Yes, Jamal Murray should make the All-Star game too as a reserve.
It's his time. He deserves it.
Say, here we go. 9-point game. Should be about a 15-point game at least, but all right, we're at least winning still.
Nice shot. Nice shot.
Good hit, Rollins. Why do All-Stars and Pro Bowl matters? So, when it comes to ranking players, like, okay. Say, when it comes to ranking players, I really don't care that much about All-Stars because of it's just a lot of it's just a popularity contest. I tend to look more into like all NBAs, all pros, how you do in the postseason, how you do in the regular season.
Yes.
So to me, All-Stars and Pro Bowls don't really matter that much if that helps.
I
think
like that answer.
I think it's great for example, the individual, community giving players somebody to celebrate. I say it gives players that maybe wouldn't have had another chance to get some of these accolades. It lets them add on. But I think in the grand scheme of things, just due to it mainly being a popularity contest, I don't think it matters that much.
I agree.
Because once you get to a certain spot, you're just in the All-Star game. Example, Kobe getting voted in when he had a blown Achilles in 2013-14, and then the year after when he was having the worst season of his career. Like, at the end of the day, once you hit a certain level of popularity, you're just kind of locked for the All-Star game.
I mean, yeah, I don't disagree with that. And look, I think accolades do matter to a degree, but I'm with you. I'm more interested in what you do in the postseason. Are you a postseason riser? Or are you one of those guys that are a lesser version of yourselves? Even a bigger accolade like MVP, I think it matters. But here's a good example. If I gave you 3 point guards, if I said Steve Nash and Steph Curry and Chris Paul, you would probably say Steph is number one. But would you immediately say that Steve Nash is number two, that Steve Nash is better than Chris Paul? Because Chris Paul obviously has never won MVP and Steve Nash has 2 of them, right? It's interesting because I think Chris Paul is a better basketball player than Steve Nash, but Steve Nash has a 2-time MVP. I think Chris Paul should be, wherever you rank them, I think Chris Paul should be ranked higher.
Yeah, Chet definitely has a case too. It's weird when players make an All-NBA third team, but not the All-Star game. You're right. Ooh, okay, Nah, good hit. I can't even be mad at that. Just a great shot by Nah. But I completely agree. It is weird when that happens. So we got Giannis sizing up. All right. Hey, AJ Green off. I know how this goes. 3-pointer. We're going to make this a 5-point game, aren't we? No, well, we're going to foul him. We're going to give him a chance to make it a 6-point game. Got it.
Look at what CJ's interesting himself. Like, I think CJ's got like 10 seasons where he's averaged over 20 points a game. And he's never made an All-Star team.
Say Chris Paul has played with more talent than Steve Nash and done less team.
Whoa. Chris Paul had Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. By the way, DeAndre Jordan is a great defensive player. It wasn't like he can drop 20 a night. He wasn't that kind of player, but he had Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. And I guess if you want to go back to when he was younger with the Hornets, he had David West. And obviously, as he got older, yes, he and James Harden teamed up. I'm talking about like at your peak, at Chris Paul's peak, it would have probably been when he was with the Clippers. Did he play with more talent? Steve Nash played with Sean Marion and Amari Stoudemire and Joe Johnson. Like, I would say that Steve Nash played with more. Not to mention, early in his career, he played with Dirk. Steve Nash played with more talent.
Say it. When it comes to high-end talent, it's tough with kind of comparing the two, because if we keep the conversation to in their prime and younger, it's probably close. But young Chris Paul played with a lot of talent. I do say shout out to Tyson Chandler in New Orleans.
No doubt.
When we start bringing up for example, SGA and Devin Booker,
Right.
still impactful, but little past his prime. I will say that I do think that Chris Paul did play with more talent, but I do think that team-wise, he has done more than Steve Nash. I will say, too, when it comes to Steve Nash, it's kind of hard to judge his top-end talent he played with, since most of his career, they gave him continuity and playing with the same guys, and they didn't really adjust the supporting cast around him that much outside of when ISO Joe got paid.
Right.
The biggest adjustment they randomly made is the infamous Shaq trade when they decided to mix it up.
Yeah, that trade didn't help them.
So it's one of those things where it's hard to compare the two when Chris Paul has now at this point been on 6 different teams and Steve Nash has been on 2.
I want this to be clear. I've actually been the biggest Steve Nash defender. I'm just talking about him and Chris Paul. Because a lot of people always talk about, well, Steve Nash shouldn't have had either one of those MVPs. And I'm like, no, he deserved both. He deserved both. Especially the first one. It was a joke that people thought Shaq should have won. That's ridiculous. Why should a guy win when he didn't lead his team in scoring? He didn't lead his team in rebounding, but he should have won. He should have won. The best player in that Heat team was Dwayne Wade. It wasn't Shaq.
The timing on this, by the way, was immaculate, because as soon as this comment popped up and I watched Kyle Kuzma brick a free throw.
I'm a big Steve Nash proponent. I just find it's unique. I'll give you an example, Brett. Here's a better example. Isaiah Thomas or Steve Nash.
IT or Nash?
Right. I'm talking about, obviously, Isaiah Thomas, the guy that hates Michael Jordan. That Isaiah Thomas, not little IT, who was great until he got injured. But I'm talking about Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas or Steve Nash. Now, I think a lot of people will still take Steve Nash. I'm a huge Steve Nash fan, and I don't necessarily even like Isaiah Thomas. But if I'm being objective, I don't know that Steve Nash is better than Isaiah Thomas. I think Steve Nash was ahead of his time. I think he was a trailblazer, because that Suns team, they were playing today's NBA kind of basketball. They were playing positionless basketball. Amari didn't play power forward. They had him at center. Sean Marion didn't play small forward. They had him at power forward. They were ahead of their time. And I think Steve Nash was the head of that snake. He was great. Look, by the way, Steve Nash was great. I know Gene hates it when you talk about Steve Nash, because Gene will point out, when that guy won the MVP and he only averaged 17 points a game. And I'm like, right, 17 points a game with 11 or 12 assists. And he was shooting 50, 40, 90. You know what I mean? Steve Nash was that guy.
By the way, Mo, what did I tell you? At some point in the fourth quarter, this is going to be a one-possession game.
Yeah, I don't know how
it
that
is
happened.
A one-possession game.
You called
Kyle,
it.
stop it. Don't do
called
that to me, by the way.
You called it. You're the Swami. You called it.
Dial it up, Doc.
Yeah, I think Zeke, I would have Zeke ahead of Steve Nash, but not in that way that people like to disrespect Steve Nash. When people go top 10 point guards, and people get insanely upset when I go, I've got Steve Nash ahead of Westbrook. I do. I'm sorry. He's a better player, not just a better shooter, by the way, which is to say that Steve Nash is a better shooter than Russell Westbrook is a huge understatement. Russ and Derrick Rose are the most freakishly gifted athletes I've ever seen at the point guard position. And Russ is very unique because of his athleticism. But if I were picking a point guard, if I'm trying to win a basketball game and you said Russell Westbrook or 9 times out of 10, I'm taking the or. Russell Westbrook or Chris Paul or Nash, Isaiah Thomas. You want to go back further? The Big O. Like what great point guard are you taking Russell? And I like Russ, but I think we have to put him in his proper place rather than look at his numbers, Mo. Like, dude, are you taking him over Jason Kidd, who's not? Oh, by the way, Jason Kidd wasn't a great shooter. I'm still not taking Russ. Who are you taking Russ over? That's a great point guard. I know somebody's going to say John Stockton. I wouldn't take him over John Stockton.
Oh my gosh, I can't watch this basketball team. I
didn't say CP3 was over Walt Frazier. I said he was over.
He's saying he has Walt Frazier and Kuzi over CP3 in his top 15.
Look, so you and I have this discussion all the time, Brett. I can acknowledge the greatness of Kuzi and Frazier, but they played mostly when it was like black and white TV. You know what I mean? Like. Why
would you put?
I'm gonna be respectful because Frazier won 2 titles. Kuzi won 8 or 9. So they're both iconic players, and they're both more accomplished than Chris Paul. So I don't have a problem with anybody that has them there, but I feel like we have to separate modern day guys from guys that are from the golden era. Like when you start talking about guys that played in the 50s and 60s, especially in Kuzi's case, because he was playing basketball when there were like 8 teams. And there were 8 teams and like 5 brothers. No offense. There was like 5. I'm just being real. He played when there's 8 teams, like 5 brothers, and not coincidentally, 4 to 5 brothers was on his team. So I'm just saying.
So when Mo and I do a lot of our lists, we kind of cut it off at the merger. So like 78 onwards, and then put everything kind of back.
Yep.
Into its own separate tier list. Boy.
Because we want to be respectful to Bill Russell. We want to be respectful to Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West. I mean, I'm going down the list. And Bob Cousy and guys like that. So we usually have our conversations about guys that played on the other side of the merger. Because it's so difficult to try to – I can't tell you how good Bob Pettit was, man. I mean, I can look at his numbers, but they're numbers to his era, and I want to respect that.
What was that, Giannis? Okay. By the way, I'm glad we're paying Miles Turner $25 million just to ride the bench.
Yeah, what's that all about?
Yeah, we need defense. Yeah, here's Bobby Portis. Oh, Giannis, you can't just push him. Its last 2 possessions from Giannis have been downright terrible. I feel like if I'm going to call out the Bucks, I would be consistent and call out Giannis. We did not need an early in the shot clock post fade, and you can't just extend your arms. Well,
I'm sitting here and I'm like slack jaw because you, partner, called this to perfection. You called this.
Yep, Hawks have taken the lead. Oh boy!
Oh, big shot by AJ. Nice. They needed that.
Thank you, AJ.
They needed that.
But even then, there wasn't even a play call. It's just we're gonna run a pick and roll. They just happened to leave AJ open. Like, here we go.
Oh. Big shot by JJ.
Can we? What play call are you calling, Doc? You're just standing on the sideline going, Hurry up! Like, what? Why are we rushing?
Bobby Portis with the big. Ooh, okay. Shot making.
Good hit, Bobby. Okay.
All right.
You
I'm
know
a
what?
little ahead of you.
Maybe it's a good thing that you're in instead of Miles. I don't know, but also I'm still annoyed that we
Great defense. Ooh. Oh, great finish. Wow. Okay.
Ooh,
Okay.
and that's a nice spin on it too.
Yeah, great finish. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are getting the full experience on why I can never truly enjoy Bucks games, because they never let you as a fan truly enjoy them. Most teams get to enjoy occasionally just winning that one game by like 15 where you just chilling and having a great time.
Right.
The Bucks just want to make every game the most interesting must-see TV possible, like the owners mandate them to do it or something. Like, it's truly impressive on how quickly they just become unraveled at the slightest bit of pressure in the second half of these games and fall off track for almost entire quarters at a time before they finally get some semblance of a groove back.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, one thing about Bobby Portis is nobody has to fire him up. He kind of fires himself up. He does a lot of talking to himself. Like Bobby is a one-man conversation. He just gets fired up. He gets the crowd involved. Like, Bobby's got a personality of a WWE wrestler. He does.
Bucks should re-sign Jabari Parker and Thon Maker.
Thon Maker, not Karate Man Thon Maker. That's hilarious. You know what? We talk about horrible draft picks. Thon Maker. Ugh. God.
Horrible draft picks. Probably just any Milwaukee Buck pick since Giannis that wasn't named Malcolm Brogdon.
Thon Maker. Ugh.
Say I guess we kind of nailed the Sam Merrill pick. We just moved off him too quickly. Dante was a good pick. We moved off him too quickly.
Dante was a good pick. Yeah.
Say every time we do finally nail a pick, we just trade him.
I'm telling you, more and more, you guys sound a lot like the Lakers.
Hey, y'all stayed on Taylor Horton Tucker for way too long. Good block by Kuzma. The funniest part is I thought y'all learned from like Taylor Horton Tucker, and then it's like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna draft Jalen Hood Shafino. I'm like, okay, sure.
You know how many people told me that Hood Shafino was going to be a star, and I didn't know what I was talking about? I was like, he's not going to be playing in the NBA in a year. And I'm pretty sure I'm right that he's not playing in the NBA. It wasn't a knock against the kid, but he wasn't a next level talent like they try to present him to be.
I am absolutely ready to lock in, because now the fate of my sanity is going to depend on Kyle Kuzma free throws. And this dude is absolutely going 1 for 2. All hype team. Him and Mo Bamba can be the starting power forward and center on that team.
Kuz is about to prove you wrong. This is about to be nothing but net.
I hope he does.
Man, I'm not going to front. His rookie year from summer league through that first season with the Lakers, I was a huge Kyle Kuzma fan because he was such a big overachiever.
It just kind of feels like that he developed bad habits in Washington he never fully shook. Okay, you know what? You proved me wrong. I love it. Bo and Mo Bamba, future front court.
Bo. All right, now the chat's getting wilder and wilder.
Hey, according to Shaq, that's Wemby without the opportunity.
All I can tell people is this: never listen to Shaq on anything basketball related. He is an all-time great player. He doesn't know the game that he was great in. He doesn't know it. He doesn't know the game.
It feels like that almost feels like the problem with just inside the NBA in general. It feels like there's a bunch of guys that at one point knew the game, but as the game evolved and advanced, they just didn't. They got Shaq going now. Wemby should be just playing, back to the basket in the post, like
Right.
But that just takes away from the uniqueness of Wemby. If you're like, yo, big dog, get down there and play like Eddie Curry, like I don't want him to do that. I want him to do face up, shoot threes, and be this versatile offensive weapon. I don't need him just back to the basket.
Agreed.
There you go. Your saviors have arrived. Jimmer range, baby.
Jimmer. Oh, another one.
Before it was Steph range, me and my buddy from New York, shout out Jay, we'd always shoot Jimmer before we shot it. Huge Jimmer Fredette fans.
Jimmer he's had a really successful career overseas.
I'll say, yeah, and I actually just saw an update. I'm gonna update on him on TikTok. He's apparently coaching his son's team right now. Oh, that actually got me hyped. I don't even care if it wasn't my team. That was a good hit by Nah.
Nah's that guy.
Oh boy, please, Ryan Rollins. I actually have faith that you'll go 2 for 2, but as soon as they say that, you're going 0 for 2.
Nah, I trust Ryan Rollins. Good basket. Here you go, Hooper.
Now, Kevin Porter Jr., why in the world will you even take 2 steps with Dyson Daniels? You got the shot off over a late contest because you went with Dyson Daniels. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I was wrong. He missed the first free throw. My bad. All right. You suck it up. Make this one.
Come on, Ryan. I think he will. I have confidence. Come on, man.
Oh my God, the long delay. Give the man the ball. Jesus.
Say it. Oh, Ryan Rollins has a ton of trade value. I think he's one of the few positive assets the Bucks actually have. Please. Thank goodness that. Oh, yeah, the Hawks don't have a timeout.
Look at Kuz locking down CJ. Look at Kuz locking down CJ. Look at Kuz.
CJ, get rid of it.
Come on, man. Who knew Kuz could lock down like that? Come on, man.
Wow. I think that's another reason, by the way, CJ McCollum needs to be off this team. Like, you have to know you're not the guy in that situation.
You're not the guy.
Like,
Facts.
you get that ball to Jalen Johnson and let him create. So I wasn't a fan of that. That was just terrible last possession.
Look at Kuz. Oh. Kuz is going to put this in his highlight reel. Lockdown when I need to.
Yeah, it's as soon as those extension talks come out, he's just going to have a TV behind him playing this highlight in the background the entire time.
I guarantee it.
Just on like a 3-hour loop.
That was a good comeback, strong comeback by the Hawks. That was a weird finish. But, yeah, like you said, you got to know who to get the ball to if you're CJ McCollum.
Yeah, I definitely think CJ's off this team next offseason. I think they're replacing him with one of the young guys in the draft, but he's just weird. Like, it feels like he should fit, but too many times he's trying to, like, take control of the game or just take it over. Like, CJ, this isn't the 2019 Blazers. That just isn't you right now. That's not what they need from you.
Kyle said Kuz called game.
That play going to be a Kuz biopic.
Oh, 100%, Damian. Damian, you read our minds, 100%. And it's going to be in CJ's Hall of Shame picks or something. They're going to be like, you let Kuz lock you down? Yeah.
I'd say on the flip side, during CJ McCollum asking for a new contract, the team's going to be playing the same clip behind them.
Right. They're going to be like, I don't think so.
This is why we're giving you the vet minimum.
Right. You can't take Kuz off the dribble. I'm just saying. Good win by the Bucks. It turned out, guys. Thank you, chat, by the way, for joining us. It turned out to be a really entertaining game. In the best scenario, if you're a Bucks fan, you get the dub.
Yeah, never. You know what? Never doubted us for a second. Let's go. As soon as we went down like 115 to 114, I straight up doubted us. I'm like, oh no. Then Bobby hit a big three. I'm like, okay, here we go. So yeah, good win for Milwaukee. Good fight by the Hawks. Mo, anything you want to add before we get up on out of here?
No, appreciate the chat. It was so live. You guys are the best because you're insightful. You guys are knowledgeable. You know your hoops. So thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, and look, if you want more and one podcast, this was our we decided to do the like an MLK Day special. So normally our normal hours are we normally have our shows Thursday at 8 Central. So definitely tune in and check us out then. If you want more, if you want to talk with us more, we do have the And One Podcast Discord, and we do have an And One Podcast Facebook page. So, like I said, we definitely appreciate you guys.
For sure.
Say that being said, make sure you tune into the On the Ball podcast at 5 p.m. Central. Mo and I will be back at 7 to talk some wrestling. And you can catch the Sports Report at 9. McManus, don't mention that name. Say that being said, we thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night.